Istanbul, a city both familiar and foreign. Where there's far more going on than meets the eye. But tonight, I'm not soaking up the atmosphere. I want to write out some questions for a man I can't interview and will never meet. At least not on this visit. Why I can't speak to him is exactly the reason I've come to Turkey. Let me take you to this family's apartment to tell you more about what's going on in this complex country.
Sağ ol anne.
Makarna verebilirim biraz.
Tamam olur ama ilk önce şunları yiyeyim.
Tamam bitir.
The dinner table is not the busy place it once was for the Karaca family.
Sınav sonuçları açıklandı mı?
Kur'an-ı Kerim açıklandı, ondan 100 almışım.
The family patriarch is facing serious terrorism charges and has spent 16 months in jail.
Aynı zamanda ben babama da yani bayağı düşkündüm, seviyordum. Yani ayrılması benim için kötü oldu. Onu hem yani suçsuz olduğunu da biliyoruz.
Şule Karaca makes a long journey every week. Good morning, Mrs. Karaca. We'll follow you in our car. Okay. Eventually we reach our destination, the imposing Silivri prison. We've been told to film discreetly. Shule's husband, Hidayet Karaca, is here awaiting trial. He's in jail on terrorism charges arising out of a storyline from a fictional drama he broadcast 7 years ago. His colleagues are trying to alert the world via this video.
I am Hidayet Karaca. I address the free world from my prison cell. Freedom of the press is under serious threat in Turkey.
Karaca was the chairman of Samanyolu TV, a multi-channel network and sometime critic of Turkey's president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. 16 of his channels were taken off the national satellite and the network was crippled. This TV executive's predicament raises the question, has freedom of speech become an enemy of the state in Turkey? I pass my written questions to Mrs. Karaca.
You can give that to your husband and perhaps he can answer those for us. Thank you.
The Karaca family are not the only ones affected by what's going on. Also at the prison, there's a demonstration underway. Three academics have also been jailed. Their crime? Signing a petition. It condemns civilian casualties as the government wages war against Kurdish militants. Those jailed are accused of making terrorist propaganda, and their parents are dismayed.
Hak etmedikleri bir şey yaşıyorlar. Hukukun ve demokrasinin olduğuna hala inanmak istiyoruz ve hak etmedikleri bu cezadan bir an önce azledilmelerini istiyoruz.
After waiting 2 hours, Mrs. Karaca returns from her visit. How was your visit?
Hani orada bıraktığımız an çok hüzünlü oluyor. Hakikaten hak kesseydi bu suçu, başta onu ben bırakırdım. Ama böyle bir süreç, bu basın özgürlüğü adına yaşamamız gereken bir süreç. Bunu en iyi şekilde atlatırız. Ülkem adına böyle temennide bulunuyorum dedi kendisi.
To get a sense of what he used to run, we pay a visit to his network, Samanyolo TV.
Thank you. Well, this was once a large and thriving network. And you can see there's not much happening right here at the moment. This is the set of what was a very popular cooking program, and absolutely no one around.
Hidayet Karaca's office is also deserted. While I was looking around, one of the family's lawyers, Abdullah Shen, had ducked out to get a copy of the indictment against his client.
Şöyle diyor aynen, iddianamenin içerisinde. Diyor ki medya yapılanmasında bulunan şüpheliler arasında irtibat bulunduğunun görüldüğü şüpheli Hidayet Karaca'nın süreçte kamuoyundaki algı değiştirmek amacıyla algı kelimesi kriminal bir ifade değildir.
It's examples like this that have many questioning whether free speech is under attack in Turkey. Recep Tayyip Erdogan has guided Turkey for 13 years, first as Prime Minister and now President. He's credited with many positive reforms in the legal system, health and transport, to name a few. And in less than a decade, per capita income has nearly doubled. But right now he's being tested. Turkey is hosting 2.7 million Syrian refugees. And there's a deadly bombing campaign from both Islamic State and Kurdish militants.
Bu ülkeyi bölmek, bu milleti parçalamak için her yola başvuranlara yol vermeyeceğiz. Söz veriyor musun İstanbul? Söz veriyor musun Türkiye? Şahit ol ya Rab. Şahit ol ya Rab.
He's vowed to protect his people from terror. But who exactly are the terrorists?
This is the office of Cumhuriyet newspaper, one of the last independent media voices in the country. And as you can see from the fence here and our friend inside, there's no shortage of threats for this kind of journalism.
Editor-in-Chief Can Dündar is overseeing the next edition.
Çünkü hukuk dergisinden birisi konuştu diye biliyorum. Ama gazetede
You can smell printing ink in the air and the big presses are rolling. Cumhuriyet is an influential paper and strong critic of the government. But lately, Dündar and his colleagues have become the story. 11 days ago, in extraordinary scenes, as Dündar was walking to court, he came face to face with a gunman. His wife was the first to grab the gunman.
Abi geçmiş olsun. Geçmiş olsun.
Yani bu kadar tahrikin, bu kadar hedef göstermenin sonucu bunlar. Onun için hedef gösterenleri burada suçlamamız lazım. Bir insanı bu kadar hedef haline getirirseniz olacağı budur tabii.
Dundash and a colleague were facing years in jail on terrorism and espionage charges for a story showing government trucks carrying arms to Syrian rebels.
Not exactly a free man.
I can go, but...
I was fortunate enough to interview Dundash before the shooting. I wondered if I was sitting next to a journalist or a terrorist.
Yeah, being a terrorist is something very popular among Turkish journalists.
I see you haven't lost your sense of humour.
Thank you.
Yes, because I see them using this term for almost everyone who's a critic. Is that correct? Is that right?
I mean, Erdogan loves to call his opponents as terrorists or Gülenists or enemy, etc. So we have a kind of president that hates criticism, and he accepts every kind of criticism as a threat to himself. All we have done is publishing a story which is true, and he called it a terrorism act. So
Dundash, it turns out, is literally risking his life to highlight what he regards as a takeover of the media by President Erdogan.
Yeah. This is Erdogan's paper. This is.
When you say his paper, this is people.
For example, his son is running this paper at the moment, and an official from the government is running this paper. So each has this. For example, he's the opposition leader. Same pictures, same headlines, attacking the same day to the same guy. Unbelievable. This is the first time in Turkey we haven't seen such a thing. Yeah. And that's why he is the biggest media mogul in Turkey, really, the president himself.
His case has attracted high-level support. While Dundash was being detained, his 21-year-old son was summoned to a meeting with visiting US Vice President Joe Biden.
We met him in Conrad Hotel here. It was a short meeting, but he looked me in the eye and he said that my father was a really brave man and that I should be really proud of him. So it was a great show of support.
But even global attention hasn't helped Dundash's case. 2 hours after the shooting, he was sentenced to almost 6 years in prison. The verdict is being appealed. And it's not just newspapers and TV networks under attack. It seems even a tweet can land you in serious trouble. I'm crossing a continent to learn more.
It's been said many times that Turkey is this bridge, but it's quite incredible to be in Istanbul because we've just left Europe and in a few moments we'll be on the Asian continent just over there.
That's what we are fighting for. That's why I am against corruption. That's why I am against any type of bribery. That's why I'm against of these politicians' big lies.
For years, Turks couldn't turn on their TV set without seeing Sedef Kabash, a popular host and panel guest. And I find out she still has many supporters.
Yeah.
Sizi dinliyoruz bak.
Sağ olun.
Destekliyoruz çok.
Sağ olun.
Dinliyoruz.
Sağ olun.
İnşallah bu anladın mı?
Tabii inşallah.
In 2013, Kabash posted one simple tweet. It was about a large corruption investigation which implicated government ministers. She wrote, "Do not forget the name of the judge who decided not to pursue the proceedings." Soon after, there was a knock on the door and she was confronted by 3 plainclothes police.
And they said they had a search warrant in their hand and they wanted to conduct a search in my house due to one of my tweets.
Kabash was soon charged with targeting people involved in the fight against terrorism and making threats.
I first left them downstairs where I'm mostly working. So
She faced 10 years in jail.
well, my case really hit the news and received a lot of coverage both within the country and abroad.
She was subsequently acquitted and won't be silenced. Kabash has over 200,000 Twitter followers and says her tweets can often draw a nasty response.
Like, for example, hoping inshallah your body will be dismantled into tiny little pieces.
Wow.
Yeah, you see? He says, I rather f your mom, you're a dog. How can you talk against AKP? I will take your life.
Kabash makes the startling allegation that many of the tweets come from supporters of the president's ruling AK party.
Yes, because if you, for example, file a lawsuit against them, you cannot get any results.
So your strong sense is that these are supporters
no,
of the
but
party.
this is true. I mean, there are hundreds of people being paid. They are getting salary.
To do what? To do
to
this?
to write these posts.
How do you know that?
This were on the news everywhere. This is everywhere. Everybody knows that. Yeah, you see?
Sedef Kabash has no doubts that Turkey's democracy is on shaky ground.
There is escalating crackdown on free press because now the mentality of the ruling party and the mentality of Erdogan is shifting the political system into one-man rule.
On the way back, there's plenty to think about. President Erdogan is facing enormous challenges: a refugee crisis, war raging across the border, and now deadly suicide bombers. But are words more explosive than bombs? Is free speech falling victim to an increasingly autocratic leader? If so, what's happening to this once moderate democracy? The next day was my chance to get the government's response. At this conference was Dr. Ibrahim Kalin, one of the president's key advisors. We'd requested an interview with him a few days earlier.
Dr. Cullen, Jeff Parrish from SBS TV in Australia,
Yes.
your assistant has spoken to you, I think, about that.
Yes,
yes, thank you.
Here, yes.
Thank you. A question or two about press freedom, because you raised the role of the press there.
You're not doing an interview now, right?
No.
A lot of people are waiting here today.
But just a question about press freedom. People say that press freedom in this country is under severe attack now.
Look,
from your government.
We are in the middle of a conference. If you can arrange something, maybe a proper...
I'll be happy to come in.
Oh, you sure?
Okay.
Is it possible? I would love to speak with you, sir.
Our interview request went unanswered, but I still needed a response to these heavy allegations. I spoke with this government MP.
With respect, sir, you're locking up journalists and academics. That's not a good look.
My personal view is that academics should not be jailed, should not be taken to court, but this is a court decision. This is not a political decision. Look at the landscape of Turkish media today, and the writers and journalists and TV stations, and just you can see that some are very critical of the government, some are pro-government maybe, and I think this is the case in many countries.
Really, are journalists and academics and media proprietors, are they terrorists?
No, I wouldn't say that people are
That's what the
terrorists.
government is calling them.
No, the government does not call them. The government just provides a principle and says, while there is a violence in this country, our expectation from those people to stand by the government.
So no crackdown underway in your view?
No.
Try telling that to these people. This was the scene in March as the authorities decided to overhaul another media outlet critical of the government, Zaman newspaper. Having tear-gassed and blasted the paper's supporters, police stormed inside and hauled off editors and journalists. It was a massive show of force, but some say there's something else underway here. Both Zaman newspaper and the deserted Samanyolu TV are aligned with this man, Fethullah Gulen, dubbed the global imam. The Gulen movement preaches a moderate version of Islam and interfaith dialogue. But President Erdogan believes Gulen was orchestrating a coup against him, aided by media critics like Zaman and Samanyolu TV. He's determined to smash the movement.
Darbe girişimidir. Sivil darbe girişimi. Bunu yaptılar.
If the president is driving a harsh crackdown, how does he manage to attract huge crowds like this? We went looking for answers in Kasim Pasha, the suburb where he grew up. This is the president's barber shop. No shortage of supporters here.
Tayyip Erdoğan kesinlikle sert bir adam değil ama halka karşı sert değil. Suçluya karşı çok sert. Suçluya karşı sert. İnsanlar onun için onu seviyor.
He's a good guy, good president, I think. You know, I'm not politics, but when I see now and 20 years ago, big difference. He's a good guy, very good guy. Most of the Turkish like him.
Tavla oynuyorlar mı orada? Hadi koçum, aslanım benim be.
As our time in Istanbul is drawing to a close, we received word that the questions I'd sent into prison for Hidayet Karaca about whether he thought he would receive a fair trial had been answered.
Mr. Chair, nice to meet you again.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We go to his lawyer's office. Karaca's eldest son, Sidka, is also there. Abdullah Shen reads some of the handwritten response. It's titled, Being Tried for a Story.
Şeffaf oluşumla ve şahsıma ve aileme ne de arkadaşlarıma utandıracak hiçbir şey yapmadım. Yeni Türkiye ve ileri demokrasi hayali maalesef üzülerek görüyorum ki hayalleri sorgulanır ve sansür davalarına dönüştü. Yaşananlar ümidim odur ki bitecek bir söz vardır. Karar, kararabildiğin kadar ey karanlık. Karanlığın son noktası aydınlığın başlangıcıdır der bir şair. Zindanda dört duvar arasında, ter örgülü duvarlar arasında bunların hayalini kuruyorum.
Thank you. If President Erdogan is threatening Turkish democracy, then Can Dündar, the man who dodged bullets and was sentenced for revealing state secrets, won't go to prison quietly.
It's a kind of chilling effect, you know. I mean, he tries to give the idea that, I mean, if you criticize me, you'll be in jail. And if you are in jail, the others who are trying to say something against him, he stays silent, you know, and that's the chilling effect.